on.
The list there, right?
Okay, perfect. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Good afternoon. I want to welcome everybody to this joint press conference. Today's announcement by the President marks a very sad day for our country. The elimination of DACA, which protects nearly 800,000 students across the country who came here who came here involuntarily, who were brought here not by their own volition, is dishonorable, it's cowardly, and it's a malicious betrayal for these dreamers and of the American dream. This is particularly egregious when one considers that the people being betrayed are children. They are young people who are working hard in our country. They have studied hard. They have done everything that has been asked of them by our country and its leaders. There are 800,000 individuals that face an uncertain future. They're facing hatred. They're facing discrimination by our very own president. This is the same president that, following a tragedy in Charlottesville, chose to pardon an individual for racist crimes against the people of his community. This is a president who, following Labor Day, at the very beginning of a school year, has chosen this timing to put the lives of 800 people in uncertainty. They're enrolling in schools now, and he's sending this message: you are no longer wanted in this country. This is a hateful thing to do. It's very clear now where our president stands on the issue of race. And it's a very sad day in our country when the very president of the country is encouraging hate crimes across the state, across the country. Just yesterday, there was a gathering of people, of white supremacists that went into my neighborhood, to my community in Barrio Logan, and publicly threatened to defame the beautiful artwork in Chicano Park. I thought, this is just a threat. There was a large crowd of people waiting for them, and guess what? They showed up. That's what shocked me the most, that a threat is a threat, but for them to actually make that threat, make good on that threat and show up and run the risk of instigating violence, is just amazing to me how emboldened this group of people is. Luckily, there was proper planning, and the police were waiting for them, and they prevented an outright war. But this is what's being instigated in our country: internal war and conflict over the issue of race. And it's a very sad day. But I'm gratified by the breadth of support that the Dreamers enjoy in the state of California, because this is a message to not only our president, but everyone listening, that we are standing by our Dreamers in California, and we will do everything to ensure that they don't live in a state where fear is being thrust upon them, where fear is pervasive, where they are constantly threatened. We are standing by them, and I just want to send a message to all the Dreamers out there. You know, we're standing behind you, beside you, and if there is something you need, please call our offices for support. Call our offices to get information in terms of what rights you are entitled to in our state and our country, because there are still a considerable amount of rights that we want to make available to them. I want to thank everybody here for coming together in this amazing show of support. Thank you to my colleagues for being here. And now I want to introduce my good friend and the chairman of the API Legislative Caucus, Assemblymember Rob Bonta.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Senator Hueso. I'm Rob Bonta, chair of the California API Legislative Caucus. Honored to be here today, and so proud that we have come here together, unified with one voice, standing shoulder to shoulder. There's not enough room up here for all of our shoulders, it seems like. But all 6 caucuses speaking with one voice in support of our dreamers and in strong condemnation of this cruel, heartless, and morally bankrupt decision to end DACA. You know, our dreamers came to America, and many came to California with no control over that decision. And since they've come here, they've made California and America stronger. They've made us better. They've gone to school here. They've started businesses here. They've served in the military. They've held jobs that have helped driven our economy and paid taxes in the process. They've purchased homes here. And our dreamers belong here, and we're going to stand up for them and protect them and defend them with everything that we have here in California. And you know, the DACA program affects so many of our community members, so many of our valued community members, and it has benefited thousands of individuals and families, including many API individuals and families. In California alone, there are an estimated 37,000 API who are impacted directly by DACA, and that's more than any other state. DACA recipients of Asian descent come from many countries, including South Korea, the Philippines, the country of my birth, India, and Pakistan. And our caucus, all of our caucuses, stand side by side behind and in support of our dreamers, and we pledge to fight to protect them. While the future of DACA is uncertain, here in California, we're going to continue to do what we do: lead, stand up for our people, and defend them with all of our might. And I'm proud that we have leaders of both houses here: our Speaker of the Assembly, Anthony Rendon, our pro tem from the Senate, Kevin De Leon, and I believe our Attorney General, if he's not here, will be joining us as well. So we are standing here shoulder to shoulder, unified with one voice in support of our dreamers. I'd next like to introduce our amazing Speaker of the California State Assembly, Anthony Rendon.
Thank you, Chair Bonta, Chair Wessa. Thanks, everybody, for being here. California is home to more than 200,000 dreamers. We're also home to the second most powerful person in the House of Representatives. Now, Kevin McCarthy and his fellow Republicans in Congress need to step up and protect these American kids. In the legislature, we've been working with community advocates to make sure Californians know their rights. And we provided new funding in this year's budget to support legal aid for people facing deportation. The president is all about appealing to Breitbart bullies and his base. Congress now has the opportunity and the duty to show that they are better than that. Young people who have known no other country than this need to know that their country will do the right thing, and that this legislature will be leading the way in making sure that California does the right thing. Now I have the pleasure of introducing Senate President pro tempore, Kevin De Leon.
Thank you very much, Speaker Anthony Rendon. My story is not a unique story, because my story is a story of so many legislators who are surrounding this podium. As the youngest child of an immigrant with a third-grade education, a single mother, I am horrified by today's actions, because America should not be a place where dreams come to die. This great nation was built on the dreams of immigrants who came here looking for a better way of life, and in doing so, enriched us all. Yet today's action by President Trump and his advisors to eliminate DACA proves that playing to his base is a greater priority than the future of this country and preserving the values that has made our nation the greatest in the world. But what they don't realize is that the more they cater to their dwindling base, the more isolated they will become. With his decision to end DACA, Trump has snuffed out a beacon of hope for nearly 800,000 undocumented women and men, dreamers who were brought to this country as children, but who have grown to embrace the American dream as their own. Their undocumented status can be laid out at the doorsteps of Congress, who has failed for years to pass immigration reform. Because of this failure, these young adults have had to live in constant fear that they could lose their homes, their families, and their many academic accomplishments at any time. President Obama's DACA's program back in 2012 allowed them to come out from the cloud of possible deportation to pursue an education or a career. They've been able to earn high school and college diplomas, open bank accounts, buy cars and homes, and contribute to their economies and to their communities. The hundreds of thousands of dreamers who call California home represent a bright future for our state. They, along with their parents, have helped make our state's economy the 6th largest in the world. But Donald Trump wants to push these bright young minds back into the shadows, and in doing so, he endangers California's economy. Trump's decision to terminate DACA is meek acquiescence to the U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions and Chief Immigration Advisor Stephen Miller. Their fierce opposition to DACA and their national views are all well documented. Today's action undoubtedly proves that President Trump and his advisors are nothing but cruel and compassionate-less men. I will conclude with the following: that we're not going to allow one single executive decision on DACA to reverse generations of progress at the height of our historic diversity, our economic output, and our sense of global responsibility. Now more than ever, it is absolutely important and crucial, in fact, it is vital, that California remains America's exceptional example, a beacon of hope and opportunity in a very uncertain world. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't see this right here. I want to bring up to the podium the Assemblywoman from San Diego. She is the chair of the Appropriations Committee, and she is a woman who has committed her steadfast commitment to immigrants since the first day that she stepped into this building. That is no other than Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez. Fletcher.
Okay. Thank you, Senator De Leon. He's right. My first bill I carried, co-authored by the senator, was to allow dreamers to become attorneys. And it was important because I come from a border region. And of the 220,000 dreamers in California, a lot of them live in my district. A lot of them are from there. And I know, like so many others standing up here, but by the grace of God, I was born on this side of the border. Because my father, just like the parents of these dreamers, just wanted to come here for a better world for his family, but I was born on this side. So suddenly, everything opened up for me. I've spent this weekend with family and friends, interns, volunteers from my campaign, all dreamers, who were unsure of what this is going to mean for them. And I've spent all morning trying to parse through what was discussed with a staff person of mine who now worries whether or not she got her paperwork in on time. These dreamers are not some magical group of young people that we're not connected to. They are our families and our neighbors and our friends. And there are staff who work in this building and in our district offices. And because of that, this is not some mourning decision. We're not going to just sit here and mourn over what this evil, heartless president and his attorney general has done. We are going to be activated to ensure that every Republican congressman and woman in California that previously did not support this bill hears from us. That is my commitment over the next few months, the break. I have 2 Republican congressmen in San Diego who have never supported Dreamers and whose time is up. I don't care if I have to sit in their office every single day till they see me. I'm taking Dreamers. They're going to listen to us, and they are going to have to look in the eyes of these promising young men and women and tell them why they won't demand change in Congress. It's our last stop, and it's something we all have to be committed to, and I'm glad to be part of such an incredible body of Democrats, of Latinos and African Americans and Asians and all of our caucuses and women and even a couple Republicans in the building who are absolutely committed, and LGBT caucus who are absolutely committed to ensuring that we don't just stand by, that we just don't continue to make proclamations, which we will make. We don't continue to just pass California bills, which we will do, but that we sit in on those members' offices and require that they bring this up for a vote in the time period to allow some certainty for our folks. Thank you for coming out and covering this very important situation. We'll call it a temporary situation, hopefully. It's my honor to bring up the Vice Chair of the API Caucus, Phil Team.
Thank you very much. I think you can see from the solidarity here how strongly we as Californians feel about Dreamers. Dreamers are the best of immigrants. They came here when they were kids with their families looking for a better life. Many of them went to college. All they wanted to do was sign up into a program that they were told, hey, come in, sign up to a program, get a work permit, stay in this country. And now 800,000 lives in this country are in jeopardy, 200,000 Californians, their lives are in jeopardy, totally turned upside down for absolutely no good reason. They pose no harm to anybody. They're working or they're going to college. They're absolutely going to be productive citizens of this country if we give them a path to citizenship. And for all of us, you can see we are immigrants ourselves, children of immigrants. We are very, very close to being in their same situation as my colleague from San Diego talked about. It could have been any of us. Many of us who were born here, we could have been born somewhere else. We could have come under different circumstances. Some of us came as undocumented immigrants to this country. So the roles could easily be reversed, which is why we are standing here in solidarity, all of our caucuses together, because we are standing up to this president. California is standing up to this president. We are standing with the Dreamers, not just here, but all over this country, because they are the American dream. They are the ones who have made something of themselves and are ready to have a better life. And they're working towards that goal every single step of the way. And we here in California completely support that. So, next, I'd like to call up the chair of our Legislative Women's Caucus, Cristina Garcia.
Good evening, good afternoon, thank you. You know, my colleagues have said most of it out there, but this nation is a nation built on immigrants. From the very beginning, we've been told to come here, do the right thing, and work hard, and you can reach that American dream. And that's what these kids have been doing. They are American, this is all they know. They've been doing the right thing, they're registered, they follow the rules, and these are our best and our brightest and what makes this state and this country great out there today. And today's actions strip that promise of those dreams of those children that embody what America is. America, first and foremost, is a nation of immigrants. We owe it to each person, our parents and generations of immigrants before us, to make sure we fight for these children out there. We're not just fighting for these 800,000 Dreamers who are our neighbors, our kids, our staff, our friends, our fellow parishioners, but they are the reason that makes that America was built. And so we're fighting to defend the American dream. We're fighting to defend our values out there on a regular basis. This president continues to tell us that the Latino community and the immigrant community doesn't matter, that we're irrelevant. He continues to take actions that are heartless and are pretty disgusting. Proud of my fellow colleagues here who are saying that enough is enough. We're going to keep standing up for these children out there. We're going to ensure that we do everything we can to protect them so that they could have their American dream out there. On behalf of the Women's Caucus, I urge Congress to take swift action to ensure that we defend the promises we made to these children and all the other hardworking Americans out there that just want to make this country better and achieve their American dream. Buenas tardes, soy Cristina García, la presidenta del Grupo de Mujeres aquí en la legislatura, y estoy aquí hoy en apoyo de nuestros Dreamers, que son americanos como nosotros, que son parte de lo que hace América y California estupendo. Son personas que siguen las reglas, quieren sobresalir y quieren mejorar su vida y al mismo tiempo mejorar su comunidad. Espero que hoy el Congreso tome acción inmediatamente para proteger a estos jóvenes, pero también están protegiendo nuestros valores americanos al mismo tiempo. Es muy triste saber que tenemos un presidente que no valora a nuestra comunidad, que no valora a los latinos ni a los inmigrantes, pero aquí en California todos nosotros valoramos a esta comunidad y vamos a luchar con ellos cada momento. Muchas gracias. Yeah. It's my pleasure to welcome the chair of the Legislative Black Caucus, Chris Holden.
That's what happens when the tallest is put to the back. Today I stand with you and before you as the chair of the California Legislative Black Caucus, representative of the Assembly District 41, and an advocate for inclusion. Trump's decision to terminate DACA is rude and is a rude awakening to the American dream. As it has consistently been shown to us, Okay, I'll try to repeat everything I just said off the top of my head. Today I stand before you as chair of the California Legislative Black Caucus, representative of the 41st Assembly District, and an advocate for inclusion. Trump's decision to terminate DACA is a rude awakening to the American dream. As it has consistently been shown to us, the current president is not a defender of rights, nor a proponent of the American dream. To the more than 200,000 dreamers in California, we will continue to defend what is right to better their lives and their families. This affects neighbors, peers, families. This affects classmates, friends, and loved ones. These young people, these dreamers, contribute greatly to our economy and to our culture here in California. And the CLBC will remain steadfast advocates for prosperity and inclusion and their opportunity to embody the American dream. And despite these uncertain times, we remain united. Now it's my pleasure to introduce Evan Lowe, who's the chair of the Legislative LGBT Caucus.
Good morning. As chair of the California Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender Legislative Caucus, we also stand with many individuals to say that this is truly un-American. Our president clearly has not been held enough as a child, and it's important that we talk about how we embrace love. As been said many times before, we embrace diversity, we do not export it. And let's just think about the type of things that the president is focused on. Going and attacking Muslim Americans, then going after service members and our transgendered individuals in the military. And now we're trying to attack those most vulnerable children. This is not the America that we know, and this is not the illustration here in California. We stand here united as bipartisan members as well, because we know that love transcends partisanship. And so we sit here clearly today to stand with all in California, that we stand firm, we will be with you, and that we will continue to fight. As you've heard earlier, we will continue to make ourselves available for each and every one of you, where we stand firm and we will continue the fight together. Thank you. Lastly, let me ask now, we are joined by the chair of the Legislative Jewish Caucus, Mark Levine.
There is no other way to describe the president's actions today than making good on his promise of ethnic cleansing the United States of America. He has lulled and lured young people to register with the government, to give their information to the government, and then take that information and use it as a tool to deport them. That is ethnic cleansing. There is no other definition beyond that than to describe it for what it is, which is evil. I'm very proud to stand here as the chair of the Jewish Caucus and with my colleagues against this. I'm very proud back in 2015 for authoring AB 900, special immigrant juvenile status legislation to help young people who are immigrants stay in the United States past the age of 18. And I also implore them to find out if this is a legal tool and a legal mechanism to help them stay here. It's been very successful. I met the first young man who used the AB 900 to stay in the United States. I flew down to Los Angeles, where he was living, and I asked him about his story. He told me about how in his home country that he was tried to be bullied. They tried to bully him into joining a gang that did really bad things. And I asked him, naively perhaps, wouldn't it have been easier to just join the gang? And he looked at me in complete disbelief. And he responded, I would never be the same again. There's only one group of people in this country who benefit by the termination of DACA. It's the people who don't think that they're smart enough and don't think that they can work hard enough as the dreamers. The only people that benefit are the white supremacists and the Nazi Party members who marched in Charlottesville and don't think that they can compete. We must protect the very best that we have in this country, and that means protecting the dreamers. I now would like to introduce the Majority Leader of the State Assembly, Mr. Ian Calderon.
I just want to thank everybody for coming and covering this event. And I also want to thank all my colleagues for being here. And I think the reason why you're seeing so many members here is that we're just numb. We are so numb and so frustrated by the lack of leadership and poor decisions that are being made in Washington, D.C. right now. And I am a millennial. And so when I hear the president talking about eliminating DACA and then doing it, that's my generation. That's the next generation. And that hurts. And, you know, it's easy to kind of think of this in the abstract, where, these are some people out there, maybe I don't know them, and so maybe it's not that big a deal for a few, including the president, to feel that way. But these are real people. I mean, these are my friends. One friend in particular whose family brought him here when he was just a few months old. Their family saved $6,000 to hire a lawyer to help them do it the right way, to become a citizen. And then the lawyer did what? Took the money and ran, which happens to so many of these families. And all his life, hey, you're going to be sent back home. What home? There is no other home than California, than the United States for my friend, for all of these dreamers. This is their home. This is where they grow up. This is where they went to school. This is where their friends are. Be sent back to what? That isn't a question for them because they have nothing. And so, when he graduates from high school, he gets a job. And everything he does is odd jobs here and there to try and get enough money to scrape by, to survive, getting paid under the table, not paying any taxes other than his income tax, other than his sales tax when he goes to buy and purchase something, which all these dreamers are contributing to our economy every time they go and buy something. And then DACA comes about, which gives him hope. He gave him so much hope. And he was able to get a job, who was able to support himself, and was happily paying taxes. And that's now being threatened to take away from him. And I think what's important is that right now it falls on Congress. It falls on the leadership in Congress to act, to do something, to right this wrong. We're all going to make sure that we work with Ms. Gonzalez-Fletcher to make sure our members of Congress do the right thing. But it's time that we all stand together and we do what's right, because we're sick and tired of feeling numb by all the dumb decisions that are being made by this president and being made by our federal government. And it's time for real leadership, and it's time for us to truly start showing the world why we are American and to stop rehashing these battles that we've already moved past.
Are there any questions?
So, as you can see, we will continue to fight for our dreamers and their right to dream. I want to thank you all for coming out. I want to thank all my colleagues for being part of this unified voice. I think we might have time for some questions. I know we have we have our session now.
A couple questions. Well, hold on for a second. Hold on. We're going to do a couple questions with the caucus leaders and
Let's do it.
Mr. De Leon and I, and the majority leader will start rounding up assembly members so we can start.
A couple questions only, but go ahead.
Sí, gracias. Estamos aquí unidos esta tarde apoyando a nuestra comunidad, a los jóvenes de DACA que hoy escucharon una muy mala noticia de una presidencia que no se puede describir más que en términos muy básicos. Este presidente es un cobarde, este presidente es un racista y este presidente no está contemplando el mayor futuro de nuestro país. Y esta decisión realmente nos lleva atrás muchas décadas. Y ya era tiempo que nos uniéramos como comunidad para mandarle un mensaje, pero también para actuar, para reversar esta decisión. Le pedimos al Congreso federal que actúe, que haga unas decisiones humanas y que restoren estos beneficios que han recibido estos individuos que realmente merecen el apoyo de nuestra comunidad y de nuestro país.
Bueno, voy a ser muy breve, porque creo que Benjamín Hueso lo dijo todo de una forma muy elegante, pero que quede muy claro que las acciones del presidente hoy día en la Casa Blanca son muy repugnantes. Es un daño gigantesco ante la comunidad más vulnerable a lo largo y ancho de este gran país. Pero estoy bien feliz que hoy día los líderes de las bancadas, presente hoy día el líder de la Asamblea, Anthony Rendón, su servidor, estamos todos unidos con una sola voz, somos el respaldo, el apoyo, somos el muro, en fin, en contra de las acciones de Donald Trump. Tarde o temprano lograremos una victoria para estos súper jovenazos.
¿Qué mensaje le envían a los jóvenes como senadores?
Bueno, yo entiendo completamente que existe mucha ansiedad, mucho pánico en estos momentos muy dificultosos, pero por favor, tranquilos. Hacia corto plazo, tranquilos. Nosotros, el líder de la Asamblea, Anthony Rendón, su servidor, con los líderes de la bancada latina y también los asiáticos americanos, vamos a trabajar conjuntamente muy de cerca algunas políticas para hacer todo lo posible, por lo menos otorgar quizás posiblemente un permiso temporal. Estamos en eso en estos momentos.
Y también les pedimos que se comuniquen con nuestras oficinas para informarse cuáles son sus derechos, porque aquí en California tienen derechos y estamos dispuestos para informarles, para que estén preparados, para tomar las medidas apropiadas para protegerse en contra de este gobierno que realmente no tiene, el gobierno del federal que no está buscando protegerlos. You know, and this is interesting. The timing of his decision is it's always strategic, right? It's always the message is about instilling fear in the community. It's about making people afraid. That's their strategy. Their strategy is to make people not want to go out and vote, not want to go into the community. But you know, we need to gather as a caucus and find out if there'll be enough time to do that. But nonetheless, we have already made substantial progress in this area, allocating funds for the defense of deportees, working to protect their privacy in numerous bills that we see already moving forward. So we have a very healthy package, in many cases of up to 20 bills that are immigrant rights protection bills that we're very proud of in California. That's unlike any other state in the country. California is taking action to protect our immigrant population because we know that they're valuable human beings, but they're also very important to our economy and to our prosperity in California. Did you want to say something?
I did. The senator said something in Spanish, and I think it's very important because a lot of Dreamers don't actually speak Spanish, to note in English as well. It's really important to know your rights, and today, nothing has changed. If you have a valid work permit, you can still go to work, you can still go to school, nobody is going to stop you. You do not have to tell your employer that you're a Dreamer. Your work permit is valid until it expires. It's really important people know this. There is not a need to go into work and tell your employer that you're concern you're facing deportation or anything like that, it's important that you reach out, you understand your rights, you understand what your role is, and that you don't panic. And I think that that's a real important message that we have to get out to all of our dreamers, no matter where they're from and no matter what language they speak.
And just make two quick additions. One, we have legislation moving now that is even more important given today's decision than it was prior to, like SB 54 from the pro tem, AB 21 from Mr. Cara, which protect and defend our immigrant community. Also, we have spoken with Attorney General Becerra, who wasn't able to make it today, but he has announced and he is committed to suing in support of our dreamers.
Esta pregunta es muy importante. En la mañana me llamaron porque había un dreamer que ya había vencido su permiso y entonces él pregunta qué va a hacer en su trabajo. ¿Lo van a correr?
Has expired, Lorena.
An expired permit.
Expired
Permit.
Dreamers permit.
It's unclear, but it's from what reports are from the media, if your paperwork gets in and processed by October 5th, I think the date was, but in the next few weeks, you can actually extend your status. So we encourage everybody to immediately, if they have allowed for their permit to fail, to immediately do that. To go ahead and send it in. As we've been dealing with, it's really great to send it in by UPS and get a notification that it's actually been received.
We're going to do one last question, and then some members will be available for questions afterwards.
Supposedly the DACA Act, signed by President Obama, is unconstitutional. Obviously, from your standpoint, as senators, legislators, ¿qué es la opinión? ¿Es inconstitucional o sí lo es?
Well, we don't believe it's unconstitutional. That's why we're gathered here today. The fact that he prematurely cut off DACA without defending it, the Department of Justice, without defending it, and taking it ultimately to the Supreme Court and allowing the Supreme Court themselves, the justices, to make the decision whether it is constitutional or not constitutional. I find it quite ironic that they won't defend this executive order, but they believe that banning Muslims to this country is constitutional. So you see the gross contradiction. You see an immigration policy that's driven by Steve Miller, by Steve Bannon, as well as Jeff Sessions, who never have hidden, obviously, their deep-rooted animus towards individuals who simply do not look like them. And that's why you have the Speaker, you have myself, you have these wonderful leaders from these great caucuses united together. We believe it is constitutional, and it's a multi-prong approach. The Attorney General, we met with the Attorney General this morning. He will move forward with his legal challenge, along with 10 to 20 other potential states, filing an amicus brief together. We, as the legislative branch, Speaker and I, will get together with the leaders of the caucuses and see what legislative relief we can provide as a subnational, and obviously, as Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez mentioned, as well as a lot of others folks, there's going to be a lot of activism. So now is not the time, as Ian Calderon had mentioned a few moments ago, not to be numb, but actually to be recalibrated and out there to defend who they are, because ultimately they're Americans. This is their place. They're not going to go anywhere else.
Thank you. I'd just like to reiterate Ms. Gonzalez-Fletcher's point, and it's a point that we as a body have made with respect to other issues. Earlier in the year, when Congress promised to repeal and replace, we didn't stand still. We as a caucus, we as a legislature fought back. We went to Washington, D.C. We visited members in their district office. Our caucus chair, the Assembly caucus chair, Mike Gibson, is here. He has started efforts on that issue in the past, and we will continue to fight for our citizens and to make sure that everybody in California is safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
We should just tell her. I don't want it to be attributed. I think it's.
Thank you. Awesome. Glad we did it. Good job. Good to be here. Super awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you, brother.
Sorry about the knee, man.
Twisted it up a little? Yeah. As long as you have enough recovery time for next year.
No, I'll be fine.
I need you to give me
I'll
those
be
assists.
stronger next year. I'll be stronger.
Curtis.